Before this video begins, just a quick Happy New Year and welcome to 2026. Past performance is not a guarantee of future returns, but as humans, we can't resist looking at historical performance when it comes to stocks and markets. Sometimes this is to get a sense of where prices are currently at, to see if we're underpaying or overpaying, and sometimes it's actually just to see how we're doing compared to the rest of the market. And that's what I'm looking at today. As 2026 kicks off, I wanted to have a bit of fun and just look at some of the individual companies from my portfolio in 2025 and see what the top 5 were. This is, of course, broadly pointless. 1 year is not enough time for a long-term investor to come to any conclusions. Just 1 year of performance is unlikely to motivate me to buy or to sell any of my positions. But it is fun to see what worked this year just gone and perhaps gain some insights that might help steer my research going into 2026. And in the spirit of just looking at a snapshot, I'm only going to look at increases and decreases in share price. I'm not going to rank anything else like dividends, PE ratios, or volatility. It's just how much did the stock's price rise over the year. And of course, I am a retail investor like any other. Everything in this video and any of my other content exists purely for educational purposes. Anything seen as a recommendation for whatever reason should just be considered my opinion and only that. Always conduct your own research for the investment choices that you make that are always your responsibility. So without further ado, this is Ensley Place's top 5 performers for 2025. As we kick off the list, this one should not be a surprise. Its sector has been in the spotlight consistently throughout the year and was the topic of my last video. As a result of the defence sector's excellent year, at number 5 we have UK defence and aerospace manufacturer BAE Systems, which boasts a performance of around 45% gains this year. BAE makes ships, aircrafts, large weapons, small arms and much more, including services countering financial crime. It's the biggest manufacturer in the UK and the largest defence contractor in Europe. It also acts as a major supplier to government and militaries across the world beyond Europe. It's no wonder why BAE's business has been excellent this year. Its results come at a time of major upswing in defence spending that will probably last throughout the decade. The environment it operates in right now allows the company to beat or at least meet guidance repeatedly. At the same time, as Europe rearms itself, there is an ongoing push to onshore defence production rather than relying on just US products. And this favours BAE Systems. It's no longer a cyclical company. This is a company that I would not be surprised if it's in the top 5 for 2026 as well. While European defence is a preference, that doesn't mean that there aren't any good options from the United States. Raytheon, for example, performed incredibly well in 2025, for many of the same reasons as BAE. It's a key component supplier for offensive tech and air and missile defence systems like the Patriot system, as well as radar and classified programs. Raytheon comes in at our number 4 spot with an appreciation of around 54% over the year. Its growth comes in the context of quite a lackluster couple of years actually, where in mid-2023 the stock fell by nearly over a third over the course of just a few months. This was due to a severe engineering problem in the geared turbofan crisis, which held the stock back as the scale and duration of the crisis and liability was sorted out. With this period now behind the company, it is reaping the benefits of the global rearming trend, and making up for lost ground in its share price. Breaking away from defense, our portfolio sees HCA Healthcare as our number 3 performer for this year. Up over 58% since the start of the year, HCA is a major US healthcare provider, ranked number 61 on the Fortune 500 rankings of largest US corporations by total revenue. My specific interest in this company is its UK operations. This company serves about half the private patients in London, and has other sites in the UK, including in Manchester, and has recently opened a new hospital in Birmingham. I hold this company because I've had high hopes for its UK operation. Langwasson this year reported that though growth was modest for HCA's UK hospital business, demand for private healthcare grows in the UK continuously. My thesis is that as private healthcare expands in the UK, it's natural that players like HCA are going to benefit from this as well. At the number 2 spot, we have Alphabet, parent company of Google, which is the clear winner of the so-called Magnificent Seven stocks in the spotlight this last year. The top tech stocks have shifted around in terms of their ranking and composition, and I think that Mag 7 is a redundant term now. But sticking with those original 7, Alphabet, Apple, Tesla, Nvidia, Microsoft, Amazon, and Meta, we see that in 2025, Alphabet took the crown, with over 63% growth since the first day of 2025. The company's impressive moat, consistent investment in AI, bumps along the way and all, position it to perform very well in the long run. There's certainly a lot of growing interest in the company as 2026 kicks off, and whether it will continue to see benefits in its share price going into the new year is up for debate. Sometimes outperformance is counterbalanced with subdued or even negative returns the year after. But for 2025, any owner of Alphabet will certainly be pleased. Before unveiling the number 1 spot, I wanted to quickly mention a company that I in fact sold a few months ago, but believe it deserves to be highlighted for the story behind it. That company is Alphawave. 2025 was brilliant for guns, gold, and chip manufacturers, and this last category was seen in a number of places, but this British-listed manufacturer was quite remarkable. At the time of writing, the stock was up at about 100% since January, and this company is a story of investing with the view that a company will either grow or be bought out. The latter is what happened in this instance. In Q1 and Q2 this year, stories emerged that Alphawave was subject to a bit of a bidding war, and a confirmed takeover by Qualcomm in summer shot the company's stock price to about £1.80 per share. The shares are now delisted following its acquisition, but the story goes to show some of the quality that you can find on UK markets. And then finally, the number one spot for my portfolio in 2025, with a return of over 200%, was the London-listed telecoms company Airtel Africa. Airtel Africa is seeing tremendous benefit from the expansion and uptake of telecoms in several African nations, and some suggest that the stock is still undervalued. I like this stock for a number of reasons, but one of them is that the company's offering is broader than the name suggests. While it's a telecoms company, Airtel also has increased its offering in the financial services realm. The company's money platform connects nearly 45 million customers to a rich ecosystem, enabling transfers, payments, collections, disbursements, and financial services. Therefore, as the African economy continues to grow, the underlying payment rails will also benefit. Therefore, to me, it's not surprising that Airtel Africa has done so well this year. But what does all this mean for 2026? We can't be sure what the next 12 months will bring. And historically, there's the old adage that today's winners are tomorrow's losers. For example, several sources suggest that Alphabet may well continue to dominate in the tech race. But that doesn't necessarily mean that its returns will be the best of all US stocks in 2026. At the same time, while tech companies will continue to advance, it may be that we start seeing other sectors benefiting from the AI boom. For one example, in the first couple of weeks of 2026, OpenAI, who owns ChatGPT, announced a healthcare-specific program with its services rolled out to, among other companies, HCA Healthcare. So perhaps this will influence commercial performance and its stock price going forward in other sectors and companies. Looking more broadly at global trends, if the start of 2026 is anything to go by, then in my view, defense will continue to outperform in many respects. As per my last video on European defense investing, there is a global rearming drive, and military manufacturers are going to benefit from this. At the same time, in Europe, there is a major push to detach from the supply chains that are geopolitically risky through a policy called strategic autonomy. With this in mind, one of the ETFs I'm exploring is a new one by Amundi focusing on the companies set to benefit from this drive in Europe. For now, and as ever, the key is consistency. Those of us investing for the long run should continue to stick to their philosophies and continue building out their diversified portfolios, following their research, goals, and convictions. Best of luck for everybody going into 2026.